start the session officially then. Today, February 29th, 2024, it's our 45th meeting, reading Urantia book with Heidi. We keep reading paper 112, personality survival. We are almost finishing part 1, personality and the reality. Hopefully, we're going to start reading section 2, the self. 今天是2月29日，2024年，我们已经开始，这应该是第3次，但是总的来说是第45次与海蒂读御书。我们上回呢就几乎要读完了这个第112篇人格的续存第1部分，人格与实相，然后有可能今天还会开始读第2节，自我。Okay, Heidi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, something's wrong with my computer. Hold on a minute. Something's not working. Why isn't this working? Hold on a second.
Yeah. 应
Um,
该上一回读到
can you put the recording on pause? Or you
Okay,
can
I
just
can.
Okay.
Yeah, I think last time we read through
Right. I think we read it right up to the last 3 paragraphs that start with but the concept of the personality. I think that's where we have to start.
Okay.
Do you
Yeah,
agree?
so we read through 16. Yeah, we are starting 17. Yeah. Okay.
And before I start reading, what did you already read section 2?
No, we just reviewed section 1.
Oh,
and the
okay.
full section 1, and we discussed some points. And the last point we discussed is that what a supreme dimension is in 9th paragraph.
In the 9th paragraph?
Yeah, 9th paragraph. Like
what is what is that? What my book isn't numbered like that. What does that paragraph start with? What is the first few words?
The type of personality bestowed upon
Yeah, I see. Yep, I see.
mortals.
Yep, the type of personality bestowed upon Urantia mortals has a potentiality of 7 dimensions of self-real expression and person realization. These dimensional phenomena are realizable as 3 on the finite, 3 on the obfinite level, and 1 on the absolute level. On sub-absolute levels, this 7th or totality, on sub-absolute levels, this 7th or totality dimension is experienceable as the fact of personality. This 7 on this 7, this supreme dimension is an associable absolute, and while not infinite, is dimensionally potential or is dimensionally potential for sub-infinite penetration of the absolute. I don't see it talking about supreme there.
Supreme dimension. What does supreme dimension mean?
I don't see where it says supreme dimension. Oh, this supreme dimension is an associable absolute, and while not infinite, is dimensionally potential for sub-infinite penetration. So hold on. So before they say this supreme dimension, they also call it on sub these dimensional reals on the finite, 3 on absolute and 1 on the absolute. So they call it the 7th. They say the 7th is the absolute level. On sub-absolute levels, the 7th or totality dimension is experienceable Wait, this is I remember this was tricky last time too. These dimensional, okay, let me just read it again one more time. The type of person who set upon has a potential of 7 dimensions of self. Okay, that makes sense. These dimensional phenomena are realizable, okay, as 3 on the finite, and then they'll probably, well, I don't know if I don't think they list them out. Through 3 on the absonite, and the absonite, usually the finite is more like time and space, right? And then 3 on the I know we're getting to the supreme, and then the absonite is like sort of a little beyond time and space.
Intermediate level.
Yeah, not really time. And then the absolute is like, that's the end. That's like a
Mhm.
God level. That's like
the
very,
totality
very,
dimension. Yes.
yeah. So these dimensions are realizable as 3 on the finite. Okay, so we realize 3 levels, 3 on the absonite. Okay, then we realize it, and 1 on the absolute level. So there's 1 is like, that's kind of like the final one that is really big deal. On sub-absolute levels, here's the sentence. On sub-absolute levels, okay, that's the first 6 levels. This 7th or totality dimension, okay, it's totality, all right, is experienceable as the fact of personality. So that sentence is a very tricky, because that, like, what does that mean, right? As the fact, this 7th or totality is experienceable as the fact of personality. That sentence I really can't explain what that means.
Well, that is for me. I can get it. I know.
Okay, what do
because
you
see, the personality is a eternal entity, right?
Yeah.
So only at the totality dimension, which is the finite, which is the absolute level. So the personality is, the fact of personality is at the absolute level, at the kind of eternal realm. So at the sub absolute level, we are able to realize or experience it as, experience the absolute as the fact of personality. So as for me, for us, we are reading this, we realize that personality is an eternal entity. So we kind of, in our experience, we view this as a fact. So although we are at a sub absolute level, we can experience it as a fact.
I think yes, that helps me, and I think also because because I think what they're also saying is personality itself is an absolute reality, right?
Yes.
So that's what personality is. So that's the fact of personality. Even though we're not on that 7th level, that is still the fact of personality. Yes. Okay. So then the next sentence is the one we're talking about on okay. This supreme dimension, okay, that's talking about this, the absolute. This supreme dimension is an associable absolute, okay, and while not infinite, is dimensionally potential for if we talked about this last week. It's like the way I read this is that when they say this supreme dimension, I assume that they're talking about God the supreme. So they're saying that the absolute is like when God the supreme, God the supreme is an evolving God that's actualizing, is an experienceable God, is a separate aspect of God, that whereas God the Father in Havona is changeless and always was. There's another God, God the supreme, or another aspect of God that that is experiencing reality along with us as we evolve. So this God the Supreme, is an evolving God. So he exists, but he's not complete. And when the 7 super universes are all settled in light and life, all fully evolved, then that God the Supreme will be complete. So
Oh, okay, yeah, I forgot to translate. I'm sorry.
okay, I forgot to.
Okay. Okay, let's go back a little bit. Yeah. So 这就是我们现在在那个读那个19嘛，因为我对这个至高维度有点疑惑，然后Heidi就他自己读了2遍，他对中间那一句，从中间那一句就是第7个，在亚绝对层次，这第7个整体性的维度可以作为人格的事实来体验。然后呢，我是对这个下面这一句，这至高维度是一个可联合的绝对者，虽然不是无限的，但在维度上有潜力要无限的渗透进绝对。他说这个地方的那个至高可以联系到神之至高者。神之至高者是神的那个面相，就是他的实现的经验的那个面相，就是除了哈瓦那，就中央宇宙的万有之父。那么这个神之至高者反映神的另外一个面相，是他跟我们计划当中的这个存有，就是一起来经历、来进化，然后一直到7个超级宇宙都完全的进化到光与生命当中，然后那个神之至高者才算完备。OK。
Okay. So.
Ricky，这个地方 Supreme， 我觉得它不是讲的神的至高者，这个它就是 This Supreme Dimension，
对，
指的就是那个第7个 Dimension， 对吧？不是指的神之至高者。
他是从这 Supreme 他联想到这个，然后他还没讲具体这一句是啥，他还没讲。
OK。
对，他只是刚才就是从这个 Supreme 这个词，他讲到的 God the Supreme， 神之至高者，然后是那个意思，然后再看看他对这一句。
他是联想到那个。
对。
They're not saying that, they're not mentioning God the Supreme, but because they use the word supreme, I'm sort of assuming, I'm guessing that they're saying, and I'll let you translate, I'm guessing that they're saying that we won't experience this absolute level of personality until God the Supreme is actualized. That's what I'm sort of, because why are they using the word supreme? They don't use it that much. They usually use it in relation to God the Supreme. That's so I'm guessing. But I don't know that. I'm just guessing.
从这个词就是联想到神之至高者，就是这一个词的出现让他联想到这个，并且那为什么这句话他是说至高维度，然后呢不是无限，就是说他这个就是一直到这个至高者之神，然后他完备了，我们才算达到完备，才算达到无限。不算达到无限，什么时候无限？那就是无限，怎么能达到呢？Absolute level.
Sorry, I was on mute. So
yeah, keep illustrating what.
The supreme dimension is an associable absolute. Associable absolute. I don't know what that means either. And associable. I mean, I know what the words mean, but I think there, but the last part I do get, while not infinite, is dimensionally potential for sub-infinite penetration of the absolute. So sub-infinite penetration. I just feel like, I feel the best we can do with this is to say that it's not, this dimension has to do with God the Supreme, and that at any time we can penetrate it. We're not there yet, but it's like we're not there yet, but we can kind of experience it in a way. That's kind of what I
okay. So this supreme dimension is actually means the totality dimension, the seventh dimension.
yes.
OK。它就是那这样的话，就是第7个维度是一个绝对性的维度，这个又叫至高的维度。那么它是一个，是一个可联合的绝对者。我知道了，无限的和那个绝对，它是这个地方是无限的。对，和绝对还不是一个同义词。就是相当于它这个是相当于联合所有其他的维度的，就相当于我们的，我的联想是，他是把这个 supreme 就是说跟那个神之至高者进化当中的神联系起来，对，而我的那个联想呢是就因为这个最高，就像我们为什么能从低到高去进化，就是因为我们有那个神性在里头，最高的那个东西一直在我们里头，所以这个也联想到这一句，就是说我们至高的那个是一个联合的绝对者，就没有这个，那我们就进化就是不可能的。我们能够进化到神的层次或者绝对的层次，是因为我们里边有这个至高维度的存在，有这个潜力，有这个潜力，亚无限的渗透进绝对。
不太确定，就是说这个第7个维度，它可以亚无限的渗透进绝对，还是说前面6个可以亚无限的渗透进第7个维度？我这2个不是特别确定到底是哪个意思。
我觉得是因为这个第7维度像一个从上到下笼盖的，一个渗透的这样的一个关系，然后因为它这个笼盖的渗透的这样的一种特性，而使得我们在亚无限的维度可以一窥更高维度的实相，是因为我们的事实，我们的本质本性，本自具足那个本性，不生不灭那个本性，它覆盖了、涵盖了、含藏了所有其他的亚无限。
我还是我还是觉得是我就是开始就是海里来之前，我理解那个意思应该是对的，这句话的意思。
I struggle with this. I struggled with this paragraph last time, and I'm struggling with it now. I really wish they would have explained it more, because I find it hard to know.
I think when we read the part 1 and 2, especially part 1, God the Father, we might and also the 3 different gods, God the Supreme, God the Absolute, God the what that part we may be able to understand.
Yes,
more.
and also Steve Dreyer, the one thing I found of his online was a lecture on personality. So I'll listen to that again. Maybe because he was so brilliant, maybe he explains it also. I'll listen to that.
对， 对，我跟海底讲，就是因为这个哈，有可能就是我在月亮下之书前面，其实他对这个天赋啊，然后神的几个面相都讲的特别的系统啊，有可能我们读了那一部分之后呢，就对这个就很那个，理解的就更全面了。现在就是先把它放在这儿，然后那个他就说他的导师 Steve Dreyer，他好像找到一个，他好像很少留下什么音像资料，但是他好像找到一个他讲关于人格的，他说他再回去听一听他的导师怎么讲的。Okay, I think I'm
Yeah.
okay for now.
Yeah,
Yes.
that I don't know if I
Mhm.
can get much more the finite dimension.
No,
And then
that's
they talk,
okay.
yeah,
That's
yeah, I know.
important.
And then they talk about the finite, then they talk about the finite dimensions, but then they say, I'm just, and then they say, and in the next paragraph, and then they say, on the Urantia level, all these finite dimensions of the material level are greatly enhanced, and certain new dimensional values are realizable. So, and then they say all these enlarged dimensional, see, then they talk about the supreme again, right? All these enlarged dimensional, this is in the next paragraph, dimensional experiences of the Urantia level are marvelously articulated with the supreme or personality dimension. I think they're talking about that seventh dimension again.
Which paragraph?
The following paragraph that begins, the finite dimensions of personality have to do
Oh.
with. So the last sentence is all these, they're talking about how these finite levels, of breadth and length and all are enhanced on the Urantia, when we get to the Urantia world. And then they say all these enlarged dimensional experiences of the Urantia level are marvelously articulated with the supreme or personality dimension through the influence of Mota, and also because of the contribution of Urantia mathematics, right? That's crazy. So I think what we can sort of get out of this is that the seventh level, we don't realize it, but it's still operating, it's still working with us. It's a part of our personality, right? So it has to be, it's still contributing to our experience. I think maybe that's what they're saying. We can still sort of, we're not there yet, but we can still have some kind of feeling about it. It still works with us.
对，就第七个这绝对层次我们还没有达到，但是呢，实际上我们是可以经历它的。就是这使我们那个这种在亚无限的层次可以渗透进绝对，就是这样的一个互相的渗透的一个过程，绝对渗透到要无限的层次，那么对要无限的层次可以体验，可以一瞥绝对的层次，或者就是它是一个事实。我们本来就是灵性的动物嘛。
It's kind of like this supreme dimension or the absolute dimension sort of enhances all the other dimensions, the other six.
对，它是加强和联合其他的层次的。对，灵性的我们是灵性的塑造物，所以这灵性它是相当于是一个整体覆盖所有其他的维次的，就这么理解吧。Okay.
Then this sentence, I also find this one very, very challenging. It says, much trouble experienced by mortals in their study of human, this is the next paragraph, much trouble experienced by mortals in their study of human personality could be avoided if the finite creature, so they're saying you'd understand this better if you would remember that dimensional levels and spiritual levels are not coordinated in experiential personality realization. That's another real, like, what are they saying? What do they mean by that? Do you know what they mean by that?
Yeah, I think we discussed that last time. Yeah,
Right.
so it's kind of consonant with whatever we read that supreme dimension. Because see, we are at subordinate sub absolute dimensional level, we can still experience more higher spiritual experience. So that is what this means.
See, they're saying that they're not cool. Okay, I'm thinking I got a little spark. They're saying that there's 7 dimensions of personality, and they're saying that if we should remember that the dimensional levels, okay, are not coordinated in experiential personality realization. Well, if they're not, that God the Supreme is the experiential personality realization. So that I think there because personality is a gift of God, I think they're saying it goes beyond anything you can experience. There's some level of personality that's not experiential. It's just you already have it. You don't have to experience it. It's there already. That's what it might mean. You know, it's not an evolutionary, it's not something you gain. You already have it from the beginning.
他就是提到这一句啊，就是这个112维度层次和灵性层的经验性人格体悟中并不协调，那么凡人在研究人类人格时遇到的很多麻烦就可以得以避免。他就说那个大概人格的有一些的东西没有必要去 experience， 大概就存在还是怎么样，我没有 get 他在讲什么。
So I think maybe they're saying
但
that
是
there's
我是认为就是这一段是跟前面那一段也是呼应的，就是它这个维度层次跟那灵性层次并不一定是完全协调的。对，它就是在你低的层次可以有高的层次的灵性的体验。
I think maybe they're saying that, you know, the personality is absolute and supreme. It's experienceable. It's always the spiritual levels are always experiential. They're always acting on a spiritual level, and the finite levels are experienceable and evolve with us, but the spiritual part is not experienceable. It's already there. That's the best I can do.
我还是不太明白他在讲什么。You mean
海蒂的意思，我想是，就是说，他说这个灵性是就是本自具足的，本来就有的，然后他是这么理解，然后那个 dimensional level 是我们就是需要去发展的，他是这么理解。
就灵性层次的，它本来是本有的，对 dimensional
对对，就
level
是
是
本来
扩
就是
展经验的层次是在 dimensional level 去扩展层次的。
对对，
那有可能，对呀，本自具足是指的是我们灵性的部分，对吧？但是经验的部分是我们就是要去扩展的。Yeah, make sense。
这个让我想到那个就是那个至高神之至
神之至高
高者。
者。
对对对，他就是为了获得这个经验的 圆满，它才能够真正的圆满，就是它
对
还在
对对
那个
对，
它
成为
还不是 absolute，它还在
对进
它
化，
也需要进化，就
对
是经验层面它也需要进化，
对
但灵性层面它已经是具足的。
对对对，所以就是神它有两方面，一存在性、经验性嘛。存在性它是永恒的，它是一绝对的，但是经验性方面它是需要进展，它是需要继续完备。
对，是我想这个意思是，就
对，
是可以融会
应该
贯通的。
跟那个也能对上号，是。Okay, yeah, we're okay. We can
Yeah,
we can
this is a
call this.
yeah, this is a tricky one. Okay, so we'll go to the last three paragraphs and I'll read them. But the concept of the personality, well, I just want to read the one before for context. Personality cannot very well perform in isolation. Man is innately a social creature. He is dominated by the craving of belongingness. It is literally true, no man lives unto himself.
沈丽，要不要你来把这个翻译读他的翻译？他读的是前面人格无法
好的。
孤立。
人格无法孤立地发挥作用。人天生是一种社会性生物，受对归属感的渴望所支配。没有人只为自己而活，这话千真万确。
So that's interesting also because they're saying that personality is innately associable. It always, it sort of like really works best when it's associating with other personalities.
对，相当于这一段，他就是说，这个我们人格呀，没有办法孤立发挥作用，一定要跟其他的个体去联合，才能相当于用我的话来说，就是对他才感到价值实现，他就是对这个归属感的，受这个归属感的渴望所支配。
So now here's the new part that we haven't read yet. But the concept of the personality as the meaning of the whole of the living and functioning creature, as the meaning of the whole, means much more than the integration of relationships. It signifies the unification of all factors of reality as well as coordination of relationships. I'm just going to read that again. It signifies the unification of all factors of reality as well as coordination of relationships. Relationships exist between two objects, but three or more objects eventuate a system, and such a system is much more than just an enlarged or complex relationship. This distinction is vital, for in a cosmic system, the individual members are not connected with each other except in relation to the whole and through the individuality of the whole. I'll read the last two also. In the human organism, the summation of its parts constitutes selfhood, individuality, but such a process has nothing whatever to do with the personality, which is the unifier of all these factors as related to cosmic realities. So I'm going to read that again. In the human organism, the summation of the parts constitutes selfhood, okay, individuality, but such a process has nothing whatever to do with personality, which is the unifier of all these factors as related to cosmic realities. And in the last paragraph, in aggregations, parts are added. In systems, parts are arranged. Systems are significant because of organization, positional values. In a good system, all factors are in cosmic position. In a bad system, something is either missing or displaced, deranged. In the human system, it is the personality which unifies all activities and in turn imparts the qualities of identity and creativity.
OK，琪琪往上翻一点。
OK，
但是将人格视为具有生命和功能的受造物的整体意义，这一概念的含义远远超出了关系的整合。它意味着实相的所有因素的统一，以及关系的协调。关系存在于两个对象之间，而三个或更多的对象形成一个系统。这样的一个系统远不只是一个扩大或复杂的关系。这个区别至关重要，因为在一个宇宙系统中，个体成员之间并没有联系，除非是相对于整体的关系，并通过这整体的个体化发生联系。往下，在人类机体中，其各部分的总和构成了自我性、个体性。但这个过程与人格没有任何关系。人格将所有这些与宇宙实相相关的因素统一起来，在聚合中各部分被相加，在系统中各部分被安排。系统之所以重要，是因为有组织、位置上的价值。在一个良好的系统中，所有因素都在宇宙中就位。在一个不良的系统中，某些东西要么缺失，要么错位、混乱。在人类系统中，正是人格统一了所有的活动，从而赋予了身份和创造力这两种品质。OK，
谢谢。
Okay. It would be interesting if we could see a person without a personality. Everyone has one, so it's hard for us to distinguish what exactly it is. If we could see a person without a personality, they had a soul, they had a mind, they had a thought adjuster, they had emotions and all their psychological components, but they didn't have a personality. What would they be like, right? I think they would be very disjointed. I think they would be because it says that the personality is the unifier. It says it's the in a bit it is the personality which unifies all activities and imparts identity and creativity. So it's almost like they're all the pieces of us are there, but we need the personality to make them all sort of work together like a whole.
就是说人，我们可以看到一个人的，没看到人格。那人呢，他有灵魂呐、心智啊、思想调整者呀，情绪呀，各种的心理成分啊、心理组成成分啊，但是是不联合的。但是这个人格这东西是把这些东西都串起来、联合起来，那个统一协作，有这样的一个身份，给这些的不同的部分一个统一的身份。
Okay, I'm reading this. This distinction is born in the cosmic system. The individual members are not connected with each other except in relation to the whole and through the individual. Yeah. So I think without a personality, all the different parts of us can't really they can't really function together. So it's there. I think they're trying to tell us that the personality is not just another part of who we are. Like we have this soul and we have the mind and we have the thought adjuster. The personality is what makes it all work together.
对，那就是我们前面学的，也就是有那个人格，它是那个创造者所赋予我们的嘛。那它整合了所有我们为人的所有的方面。那就最后的这一段，最后的这一大句，就相当于就是说，我们人格之间能够进行互相的联系，是因为我们每一个人格相对于整体，就是个体之间的联系，是由于都跟整体有联系，是跟那个源头有联系吧，我是这样认为的。我们之间能发生联系，是因为我们都跟那个整体它是有联系的。
So they're saying, but the concept of the personality is the meaning of the whole, as the meaning of the whole of the living and functioning creature. So they're trying to explain that the personality does not just integrate everything. So it's not just the glue that holds everything together. It's much more than that. It also makes everything work together. It unifies all the factors of reality. It's like it's the thing that makes us understand the cosmic reality, because it says all. It signifies the unification of all factors of reality. That's a lot, as well as a coordination of relationships. So it doesn't just make things work together like all the parts of ourselves. It also connects us to every part of reality. That's without the personality, we're not connected to all of reality.
这就是说，那个不同人格之间，它不是像胶水一样粘到一块儿的，而是一个整体的各个部分，它都要一起协同工作的，是有这样一个协调的机制在里头，大概是这个意思。
It says and then it tells us what the difference is between a relationship and a system. So a relationship is what exists between two objects, but three or more objects eventuate a system, and such a system is much more than just an enlarged or complex relationship. This is just, they say, wait, this distinction is vital. For in a cosmic system, the individual members are not connected with each other except in relation to the whole and through the individuality of the whole.
对，就是它这个是一个概念的区分嘛。那两个不同的对象之间可以产生关系，但是呢，三个或更多的对象就可以形成一个系统，而这个系统就远远的高于这个关系了。那么，在一个宇宙系统当中，个体成员之间呢，除非它跟整体有关系，否则它个体成员之间是没有联系的。你就可以把那个想象成是身体的细胞，身体细胞之间，因为它都跟这个整体有关系，所以它们之间的关系反映的是它们跟整体之间的这种在系统当中的一个协调的关系，这是我的理解。OK，
Okay, hold on. It's believe me, this is not an easy section. In the human organism, the summation of its parts constitutes selfhood, okay, individuality, but such a process has nothing whatever to do with personality, which is the unifier of all these factors as related to cosmic realities. So personality is much more than the summation of our parts. That's what it's saying. You can add all our parts together and you still have no, it does not, it's not, that has nothing to do with our personality, which is a whole separate thing that connects our whole self to all of reality.
就是这一段，下面这一段1.18，它是强调的是人格把所有与宇宙实相相关的因素统一起来。然后呢，跟前面一句说，人类机体当中各部分的总和构成了自我性，这个个体性。他就是说，这个个体性还不能完全的，说明这个人格的重要性。那么，这个个体性是一方面，但是这个人格，它是它的关键的作用，它是就是把人格，把我们这个。相当于统一我们当中关于跟宇宙实相相关的因素，是这样的 ，individuality 个体性，就是个体性与人格的一个区别。
Then this last paragraph is very interesting because it's saying in aggregations parts are added. In systems, parts are arranged. Systems are significant because of the organization positional values. So they're saying like they're saying like in math, you add 2 plus 5 plus 3 and you get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You get 10. 2 plus 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 3 equals 10. Doesn't matter if you add, it doesn't matter where you put the numbers. You can put them anywhere. It doesn't matter if you rearrange them. 5 plus 2 plus 3, 3 plus 2 plus 5, 5. It's always going to, you add them and that's aggregation. You add them and you get a whole. They're saying personality is not, it has to do with where things are positioned. So it's where you put the 2, where you put the 3, and where you put the 5 determines the value of the total. It doesn't always equal 10. If you put them in different places, they'll equal different things. They're saying it's about arrangement. It's about position of the parts. It's not just adding up the parts and then, oh, there's personality, you put it on top of all the parts and you've got, they're saying, no, it's how everything is arranged is so important.
就是像最后这一段也是一个比较吧，聚合呢，如果单纯的聚合，各问可以背相加，什么1加1加几加几加等于10，它这个是一个固定的答案出来。但是在系统当中呢，因为它是需要有组织，那么这个组织怎么这个位置它也有价值，那么放在不同的位置，那价值就不同，就是结果就不同，就是所以这个位置是非常重要的，位置和这个安排，这系统当中这个安排，是有价值的。
So, wait a second. So I think that personality has something to do with not just unifying all of the parts of ourselves, but also positioning them correctly. And I think that has to do with the balance that we're always talking about. right? We can have all these things, but it's
嗯
keeping them in balance that's so important. And I think that balance also has to do with frequency. So I think when everything is arranged properly, it's harmonious. All the parts are harmonious with each other. There's a good frequency.
嗯，对，就是这个人格，它是一个统一者哈，它是并且就是它又是一个来进行定位的，放位置的。它是就是想要人格达到一个总体的一个平衡，那么，这个他认为就是也是保证这个处在一个合适的频率，那么这个各个部分啊合适的安排，然后就是会有一个人格的协调在那里，就是达到最好的频率。
I think maybe the personality is our personality is the part of us that can look at our whole self and make decisions about, you know, how our mind should coordinate with our soul and our spirit. That's our personality working. We're arranging everything in ourself all the time to create a better frequency, more harmony, a better, we're trying to put everything within ourselves in the correct position and get so that everything works better together, because we're made up of all these different parts. And our personality, I think it's saying it's not just the glue that holds everything together, it's also directing everything, determining where everything should be, how much importance it should have, how much emphasis we should give it, how it should work together.
对，就是这人格呢，可以看看全我，看看这个心识怎么样跟灵魂啊，跟那个灵性啊，或者思想调整者去协调运作呀，这样就是就是把各个部分放在合适的位置，然后更好的一起协同合作，啊，不同的部分就是更好的协同合作，然后指导，然后决定，就是这个发展的方向吧。这个意思。
And you know, when we say, it says here, in a bad system, something is either missing or displaced, and they say deranged. Now that's an interesting, because you know, when you think of the word deranged, I don't know about Chinese, but in English, deranged means like demented, like some you're mentally imbalanced, you're completely mentally ill. When you're deranged, you know, we're operating on a sub level. You're completely out of touch with reality, or you're so demented or depraved that you're doing, you become evil. Actually, it's a bad thing. But I never thought of that word deranged as associated with the word arrange. So they're saying when everything is arranged properly, there's a balance. When something's out of place, it's deranged.
Yeah， 对，它就是这个地方，所以这个为什么一定要看英文的原文？那么这两个词它这有相对的，非常的明显的意义。那么 arrange 的就是安排的好好的哈，derange 的在英文当中就相当于就代表的是，脑力有问题，就是有精神病，然后头脑就是不平衡了，就是跟那个现实吧失去联系，失去有意义的联系，这个是 derange 啊，所以它是这样，就是最后的这一句相当于那个一个好的系统当中各就各位嘛，各种因素都在它合适的位置。不良的系统当中呢，要么缺失，要么错位。这错位它用了一个词，就是跟那个秩序混乱、精神秩序混乱是一个词。让我们就是知道它就是各就各位，它在人格当中是非常重要的。
So in like in a deranged person, they might have something might be missing right there, but they're also saying it might just be out of position. It's either missing or it's deranged. It's not arranged properly. So it's our personality that has to constantly arrange all the components of ourselves in a harmonious, maximum beneficial relationship with each other. So it's how things are arranged is just as important as what you have to begin with. And then they're saying that the personality gives us, when we arrange it arranges these parts of ourselves, and then that gives us our identity and our creativity. We can't be a creative being without personality.
对，那么就是错了呢，不良系统哈，要么就缺啥东西，缺一些必要的因素，要么就错位嘛，错位就是待的位置不对嘛，那就是没有办法形成一个协调，然后对各个部分达成最大的利益化啊。所以那个当一个好的系统呢，良好的运作的系统，就是各种因素各就各位，这样才是赋予我们这个一个稳定的身份和一种才可以这样的人格才具有创造力。
You know, like personality is a gift of God, and God is the creator. So, you know, God creates and creates and creates. He never destroys. God only creates. He never destroys what he creates. Any kind of destruction, that's not God's will. God's not tearing things apart. And personality is naturally creative because it's a part of God. So when someone is destructive, it means their personality is not operating correctly.
OK。那么神呢，就是人格呢是神的礼物，那么神创造你不毁坏，那就是人格它也是创造的不毁坏的，就是神不会把什么东西撕烂的那样的。然后如果人格它受这种天赋的一个遗传，它也是就是创造力的，而不是那种破坏性的。那么如果一个人格他是那种具破坏性的那样的人格，那么就说明他的人格不是运作的好的，运作不正常的。
It doesn't say that in the book. I'm just saying that because the last sentence is, in the human system it is the personality which unifies all activities and in turn imparts the qualities of identity and creativity. So if personality imparts the qualities of creativity, I don't think we can be creative without personality. And I think, and we know that God is creative. Everything about God is, he's a creative being, a creative force. He loves to create. We know that. So it makes sense. The creative part of us, the part that wants to create, is God, is this gift of God. It is our personality. So all these other parts of ourselves do different things and work together. But when we want to create, when we are creative, that's our personality.
它只是后边的，它是它的引申，关于这个创造力的，它就引申，然后相当于就是就是破坏性，那就是反正人格的，它就协调各个部分来进行创造力的活动。
And creating can just be arranging things. That is creative. To arrange things in their correct position, how we arrange things, that is a creative act.
安排事情，把事情安排的头头是道啊，井然有序啊，也是一个创造力的表现。
Okay, so now I'll read the section 2, the self. Okay, number 2, the self.
然后我们现在开始读第二部分自我。沈丽，你还是一会儿读他的翻译哈。
好的。
It would be helpful in the study of selfhood to remember that the physical systems are subordinate, the intellectual systems are coordinate, the personality is superordinate, that the indwelling spiritual force is potentially directive. In all concepts of selfhood, it should be recognized that the fact of life comes first, its evaluation or interpretation later. The human child first lives and subsequently thinks about his living. In the cosmic economy, insight precedes foresight. Okay, Shenli, you can.
对，2. 自我，在研究自我性时，记住以下几点会有帮助： 1. 物质系统是从属的； 2. 智性系统是协调的； 3. 人格是高等级的； 4. 内住的灵性力量具有潜在的指导性。在所有关于自我性的概念中，应该认识到生命的事实在先，对它的评价或解读在后。人类孩子首先生活，而后思考他的生活。在宇宙系统中，洞察力先于预见力。OK。
对吧？你看这些英文词儿全都是对应的 ，insight、foresight。
Yeah. I was thinking about that too, but let's take the other part first.
Yeah.
Is so it would be helpful in this study to remember. So they're just saying this. It would be helpful. Physical systems are subordinate. Intellectual systems are coordinate. Personality is superordinate. That the indwelling spiritual force is potentially directive. So they're saying that. They're saying this is like mind over matter and spirit over mind, right? They're saying that the physical manifestation, the physical reality is always it doesn't do anything with it without the intellectual. You need the intellectual systems to coordinate the physical systems. A car won't drive without a person with a will to drive it, right? So you always need the intellectual systems to make this physical system. The physical systems rely on the intellectual systems. They don't do it. They don't do anything by themselves.
它就是这几段4、5段，就是反映那句叫做意识高于物质啊，灵性高于物质啊，那么是反映这样一个那个原理，就是就像车，它没有人在方向盘后边，它没有办法走。那这个物质系统是完全从属的，是受智性系统来调配的，而人格又是高于统领这个智性系统的。那么灵性力量又有更高的这个也潜在的指导性。那意思就是说，像前面我们读思想调整者的时候一样，我们可以听从这个潜在灵性的指导，也可以不听从，就是人格的层次它是有自由意志的。
They have the physical reality has no power by itself. It's always subordinate to the intellect. Now you could say, okay, if you have a hurricane or tornado or something, you can say, well, that has a lot of power, by itself. But it in a way, it just looks like it does. It actually can never affect the way we think. The way we think, the way our minds are completely they work in another realm. The physical can never affect our intellectual systems if we don't let it.
Yeah. 对，他就说那个物质的实相在他自己本身是没有任何的全能的。那也许你会说，哎，你看，如果发生龙卷风啊，它是有很大的力量啊，但是呢，它也许，也许是这样的，但是呢，它没有办法影响我们怎么样思考，就是，这个物质的实相、物质的显现没有办法，影响我们的智力、我们的心智。
这个地方啊，琪琪，我有一个问
嗯
题，
嗯
就是我们体育锻炼嘛，运动，这个我一直没想通。比如说这个体育锻炼，或者是吃药这种东西，都是属于物质性的，比如锻炼肌肉啊，或者吃药，这种都会影响到我们的这个心理层面的东西，影响就是通过影响身体，影响到心情啊，或者是心理状态，这个过程就好像是倒过来的，就是物质层面好像对心理状态产生一个影响。
Yes, Shanli has a question. It's like if we do exercise, improve our physical fitness, or if we take medication, and we might have different experience. We might, kind of boost up our emotion or mood, and strengthen our body. That also influence or affect our,
Yeah, I see what you're saying. You're saying that our intellectual systems can be affected by the physical, but yes, the physical chemistry, let's say, in the physical chemistry can affect the intellectual functioning. We can impair or enhance, right, our intellectual functioning, but we can't control it. We can't dominate it. It will just like our intellectual systems can never overpower our spiritual systems. I mean, we can make decisions, but we'll never be more powerful than God, and or something that's purely spiritual. So even if the physical can affect the chemistry in our intellectual, right? You can affect the chemicals in your brain, but you can't affect your will because it's not chemical. In the intellectual systems, you make decisions. Those decisions are not chemical. Who you are, what you believe is not chemical. You can only affect the chemistry in your brain. Does that make sense?
How to believe？他是这个意思是说，就是当然就是物质层的那些的化学，化学作用可以影响我们的智性的功能，损害啊或者加强啊一些的功能。但是呢，它就是物质层面的影响到大脑的层次，但是呢，这个意志本身或者灵性层面的决定，或者你之所是，你是谁，你相信什么， 就这个层次的东西是不受这个物质层面的影响的，或者大概是这个意思。
So even if
那
you
并且OK 也并且那个沈丽，就是说你决定吃不吃药，你决定要不要做锻炼，你还是你的心智层面的，你不能说你没想做运动，你的 will 没想做运动，你就做运动了，然后你就光从那个角度来看，哦，那个锻炼对我的身体产生了作用，但这个任何动作本身也是从智性这个协调这个层次它已经发动的呀，对吧？
因为我是从经验这个层次去理解这个，就是说，比如说锻炼这个事情，如果是停留在头脑层面，就是说，哎，我想有个好身体，我想好身体，然后我就坐在家里什么也不干，那可能就是从智性系统上面就根本就没有办法协调整个保持一个健康的一个状态。但是如果从锻炼本身，你开始做了，以后就是它本身会带来这个经验，这个经验会反哺这个智性系统跟人格，我是这么理解。
对，就是
但是
你总
这个
是有某种信念，然后你付诸行动，然后这个你的经验本身是反过来加强你这个信念的，是这样子的，我们
对
都是这样的，我们先投射到那个具体，你比如说一个这种那个药物的安慰剂反应，还有就是如果是真的药，这个药是本来是真的很有用的一种药。但是呢，你告诉他这个就是安慰剂，哎，他服这个药本身他也没有作用，就是没有人家那个就是真正的这个药的所谓的药效，所以呢，还是中间起主要作用的还是那个智性系统。如果你不相信，锻炼是对你有那个的，你就让人家推着那个什么，你也不一定就是他对你就一定有那个，反正就是还是心智在先吧，他就是
我是
what
这
are
么
you
相信，
saying?
但
What are you
你的
saying?
信念系
What
统
are you
在
saying?
先啊。他想知道我们是，哎呀妈呀，
对，可是
就解释。
你解释一下。
Okay, yeah, we talk about what she just kind of from his experience whether or not, but yeah, 你可以跟他解释一下。
Okay. Just I'm thinking about the physical system is related to the experience because we experience this physical world. So the intellectual system must have experiences through physical system.
Yes.
So
Yes. It's like
how the physical system affect the intellectual systems.
it we need the physical system as our like tool to experience physical reality, but even when we affect, even when our see our intellectual systems on the physical level are chemical, so we can affect the chemistry, right? And also as we get older, our minds don't work, we forget things, our minds may not work as well. But when we die, our minds are completely intact. Nothing physical can affect our minds. They're really they can be affected here on the physical plane to an extent, but they're really not. As soon as we get born on the other world, our minds are completely intact.
他就只说到一点呢，就是我们好像这个物质有一定的决定性，像比如说就是年龄增长，我们开始遗忘啊，记忆力下降啊，干啥的。但是实际上，当我们脱去这个肉身的时候，我们马上变得很清明，就是所以我们心智的那一部分，哎，这功能又是健全的，所以很多的限制它就是在这个物质的层面才显现的。
And even when we let's say we take a pill or drink or something that affects the way we think, it's still our mind that made that decision to do that. Our body didn't just do it by itself.
就是即使我们喝什么饮料啊，吃什么药片啊，药有一些作用，也是我们的头脑允许它产生那样的作用，是这意思吗？
And then they say that the physical is subordinate, the intellectual is coordinate. So we use our intellectual systems to coordinate the physical things around us, even our own bodies, right? When we walk, it's because we have the intellectual will, desire, we make a decision to walk. So we're constantly coordinating the physical. But then they say the personality is superordinate. So the personality is above, it's more powerful than the intellectual system. It's not just our brains making decisions, our personality, because that's where our will is in our personality. So we may think with our intellectual system, we decide that we choose how to think that with our personality.
对，就是他强调，这个人格的它的高等级的一个，它的意志哈那一部分，它可以指导我那个智性系统怎么样去思考。
So our personality is always making decisions on how we're going to be, how we're going to react, how we're going to use our intellectual systems.
对，它是指导我们怎么样去反应，怎么样去运用我们的智性系统。
And then they say that number 4, the indwelling spiritual force, that's our thought adjuster, is potentially directive. So they're saying potentially. So it has the power, the ability to direct our personality, which directs our intellectual system, which directs our physical system. So it has the power, but we have to give it that power. We have to give it that authority. It doesn't do it on its own. Our personality has to decide to make our thought adjuster the director.
对，这个人格它要给，虽然就是说我们内住的灵性的力量是有指导性的，但是这个人格还是要把这个权威给这个灵性力，让他来指导，那么才能够，对他才能去指导这个智性系统，然后去协调这个物质系统这样的关系。
And then the next paragraph just says that that we should remember that we do things and then we analyze and evaluate and interpret them later. So we can't interpret something. First we just do something. Then we figure out what we did.
对，它下一段1.2.6是说这个顺序啊，经验的顺序往往是我们先活，先去经验，然后再去解读我们的经验。
And then they say the last sentence is kind of tricky. It says, in the cosmic economy, insight precedes foresight. Remember they were talking about insight the other day?
他说最后这一段这一句哈，在宇宙的系统当中，洞察力先于预见力是非常有趣的。说还记不记得我们先前曾经讨论过关于洞察力 insight？
So there's yeah, we were talking about insight. I think last week or the week before. It's like remember they were saying we could enhance our insight. It's like a cosmic reality having like insight is a cosmic reality. It's more than just intellectual understanding. It's like a deep knowledge of truth. Remember we were
Yeah.
talking about it?
OK，我先I'll translate
Yes,
first。
we remember.
对，那前面呢，我们曾经就是讨论过，提高这个洞察力。这个洞察力呢，它反映是宇宙的实相，它不光是智性层面的一种理解，就是更深的对真理的一种认知。
So I think they're saying that in physical life we do things and then we think about them, we evaluate them, we understand them after we do them, but they're saying in the cosmic reality you have insight into what you're doing even before you do it. I think that's what they're saying here.
在物质的层面，我们就做事情，然后我们思考，然后评价，然后懂得，然后产生洞见。What's the last sentence? What's your last sentence?
Well, I think that they're saying that in the cosmic reality, you don't just do something and then think about it later. You have insight before you do something, because insight is not just an understanding of something, it's also understanding the meaning and the value of something.
他是说在宇宙实相中，刚才说的是在物质实相中我们是那样的层次，但是在宇宙实相的层面，我们就是这个洞察力呢是反映的是宇宙的实相，反映的它对这个意义啊和价值有一个先天的一种看见。
Insight is deeper than just knowledge or understanding. It's an actual like a tuning into the truth of something.
对，洞察力是比那个知识啊，比懂得呀，这个理解力啊都要更深。
So, okay, the next paragraphs.
Sorry, Heidi, I have a question
Sure.
about the foresight. Foresight is related to the intellectual system, is it right?
Well,
No.
that's what I think. I think foresight is like you can look at something ahead. It's like they say hindsight is when you look back at something. So foresight is when you look ahead at something. So I think they're saying I think they're saying I'm not sure, but I think they're saying that in this reality we can use our understanding and knowledge and look ahead and have an understanding of something, but on a cosmic level we can actually have insight into things that's beyond foresight. I think that's what they're saying. Does that make sense?
No,
No,
I
still
think
don't
only
understand.
if you have deep insights, you are able to have a good foresight. So if you are you got insight on how things works, you are able to predict what would happen next. So
No.
that insight precedes foresight. That's my understanding.
No,
I think
no,
foresight is based on the experience, and insight is without experience. We already have some idea without experience. Is that right?
yeah, well, yes, yes, because foresight, you could have intellectual foresight. You can have an understanding of what's going to happen, but insight is beyond an intellectual or an experiential knowledge. Insight, you can't get an insight from a book, or someone can't teach you that. It's a cosmic reality. It's a knowing. It's like
Oh,
it's like
yeah,
no
yeah,
one can teach
knowing.
you, no one can convince you that God exists. They can't. You have to know God. You have to feel God. You
Yeah,
have to, and that's like insight. Insight is when you say, aha, I get it, right? When you understand how the very, very deep meaning of something. It's
yeah,
it's like an intrinsic value. So you say, you can, okay, here's an example, probably a bad one. You can say, you're a general and you're in a war. You can have foresight into how the battle is going to play out. You can say, yes, I have foresight. I know that if I do this, they're going to do that and I'm going to win. But you might have insight that tells you something else about what's going to happen that makes you say, no, even if I win, that's not good. Something else is more important than winning, or you know what I mean? Insight is a
yeah,
much deeper understanding.
yeah, understand. Okay, thank you.
Ricky, do you want to explain any of that to anyone else who might be listening? Just quickly.
Anyway, yeah, I'm kind of looking for a dictionary of foresight.
Yeah.
他就举个例子说一个
这个将军，
将军哈，他在战争当有先见之明，就是基于智行系统的先见之明，就是说他怎么样能打胜仗，然后但是实际上他的 insight 他的洞察力呢，就是会告诉他啊，即使你打赢了也会怎么样。他说这好像是有这样的一个区别。
对，他说 insight 对应的是真知，就是 knowing，我想是真知，就是知道更深刻的一些东西，就知道真
就是
相那种。
不需要经验就知道的，你是知道
对对
有神啊，你能
对
感觉到神的存在呀，然后就是不需要经验的部分，不需要智性的帮助，你就知道的一些的洞见，一些的真知。
I think that insight is you have to use, I think you have to tune into your soul and maybe even your thought adjuster a little bit to have insight. It's really, it's not a finite reality. It's a soulful level of reality. It's definitely more than just using your mind.
对，就是这个洞见呢，洞察力呢，它是更是灵魂啊，或者思想调整者层面的，是，所以就是属于这个无限实相的，无限范围内的实相，是灵魂层面的一个实相。
The Urantia book says, somewhere in the Urantia book, it says something can be factually, the facts can say one thing and the truth and the facts are not always the same thing. So the facts can tell you one thing and they're true. They're facts. So they're correct, but that truth sometimes is something else.
他就说那真理和事实有可能是两回事，那个事实上有可能那个是对的，但是真理层面不见得。
You can have, you don't necessarily, well, when you have insight, usually you could probably have some insight into facts also, but you usually insight, I think you're usually tuning into the truth of something.
你当然是对事实本身可以有洞见，但是更多的这个洞察力反映的是你看到了一个实相。
Truth is always like a godlike reality.
对，真理就是有点就是神一样的一个实相。
It's like when you hang on to when you get a hold of the truth of something, it's like nothing can shake the truth. Nothing can change the truth. facts can change, but truth can't change.
那你说到这个真理的时候，就是那种什么都不能够推翻的、撼动的那个实相。
And facts and facts can tell you what something is, but insight helps to give you helps you to understand the value of something.
嗯哼，对，事实呢告诉你那个是什么，但是呢，洞见呢告诉你这个事物的价值。
So that's just a partial. Okay, I'm going to read the next couple paragraphs. The universe fact of God's becoming man has forever changed all meanings and altered all values of human personality. And in the true meaning of the word, love connotes mutual regard of whole personalities, whether human or divine, or human and divine. Parts of the self may function in numerous ways, thinking, feeling, wishing, but only the coordinated attributes of the whole personality are focused in intelligent action, and in all of these powers are associated, with the spiritual endowment of the mortal mind when a human being sincerely and unselfishly loves another being, human or divine. Okay, Shenli, you can read that.
OK，神成为人的这个宇宙事实，永远改变了所有的意义，改变了人类人格的所有价值。在“爱”这个词的真正含义上，爱意味着整体人格的相互尊重，无论是人类的、神性的，还是人类兼神性的，自我的各个部分可以以多种方式发挥作用。思考、感受、希望，但只有整体人格的协调的属性，才能集中在智性行动中，而当一个人真诚无私地爱另一个存有，无论是人类还是神性存有，这些全能才与凡人心智的灵性天赋相关联。
Okay, so this one makes is a little easier to understand. The universe fact of God's becoming man. When they say the universe fact of God's becoming man, I think they're talking about when Jesus became lived here and became a man in the flesh. They could also mean that, but our thought adjusters know that that's all they could mean, because our thought adjusters, they merge with us and they become a part of us, but they never become man. But Jesus was born as a man. So Jesus is a God, and he did become man. So they're saying the universe fact of God's becoming man has forever changed all meanings and altered all values of human personality.
神成为人呢，就是那个说是个对我们月亮下对凡人来说，就是耶稣那个到我们这个第几次这个赠予，第7次赠予是成为一个凡人这个事实。
So they're not saying that when Jesus became a man, he changed personality. It's saying he changed the meanings and altered the values. So because in other words, when Jesus became man, he gave us a completely different idea. He enhanced our understanding of personality. That's what I think they're saying.
对， 他这句就是这个神成为人的宇宙事实改变了所有的意义，改变了人类人格的所有价值。那么实际上，他改变了，他提升了这个人格的这个理解，改变了人的人格的价值。
I think what they're saying is that when he lived here as a man, he gave us a whole new idea of what personality could be.
对，他相当于，人格可以是什么样子的，就是一个新的意象，给我们新的一个人格可以达到什么样的程度。
And then they're saying, and then they're saying, in the true meaning of the word love connotes mutual regard of whole personalities, whether human or divine, and human of divine. And I think they're also explaining that Jesus showed us what love really is, and that a person, it's a personality that can love. We don't love with our brain or our and they're saying what real love is loving you love an entire personality. You don't just love part of someone. Real love is the whole person, whether they're God or man or God and man.
就是他给我们展示爱的真意是什么，就是整个的全人的一个投入啊，不是我们的头脑说爱，就是爱，它不是这样子，所以是一个全人的，那不管是人类啊、神性啊，还是人类兼神性的，那么这个爱都是一个他的全人的相互尊重。
And then they're saying that parts of the self function in different ways. So we think our brain, we can think with our brain, we can feel, we can wish, all we can have, in other words, we can have all kinds of thoughts and emotions, but when we do something, when we make a decision, that's what they say, when we coordinate, we have to, when we make what they call it, but the only coordinated attributes of the whole personality, only the coordinated attributes, but we have to coordinate all these aspects of ourselves when we make a decision to do something. We can't just do something. We can think and we can feel, but when we do something, we have to coordinate all these parts of ourselves, and our personality does that. It's our personality that makes these decisions to act, to do things.
对，是人格最后决定来采取某种行动，而这种行动本身它是要结合各个部分，人格的各个部分来发挥作用，比如说思考啊、感受啊、希望啊，就协调这所有的这些人格的属性，来才能够进行行动。
And they say intelligent action, so they don't mean just action. I mean, we can walk from one place to another, or itch our head, without our personality, but intelligent action. So
并且强调的是智性的行动。
Yeah, meaningful action.
对，是有意义的行动。
And all these powers are associated with the spiritual endowment of the mortal mind. When a human being sincerely, then they say, and all these powers are associated with the spiritual endowment of the mortal mind when a human being sincerely loves another. So then they're saying that when we sincerely love another being, human or divine, God or man, then we're also using our thought adjuster. It goes beyond personality. It's or else it could be associated with the spiritual endowment of the mortal mind. So that could be our thought adjuster, probably is, but our personality probably has a spiritual component also.
Of course,
like our cosmic mind, yeah.
因为我们人格自然它具有神性的 那个宇宙心智的，一定有这样的属性。
So basically they're saying love is a spiritual, love is true unselfish love is a spiritual act. It's a spiritual reality.
这个真诚的无私的爱，它是是一个灵性的事件和灵性的实相。
Unselfish, sincere and unselfish love is a spiritual is a spiritual act.
对，真诚无私的爱是一个灵性的行动。
I'll read the next paragraph. All mortal concepts of reality are based on the assumption of the actuality of human personality. All concepts of superhuman realities are based on the experience of the human personality with and in the cosmic realities of certain associated spiritual entities and divine personalities. Wait, I'm sorry. I'm going to read that again because I somehow I got lost. All mortal concepts of reality are based on the assumption of the actuality of human personality. All concepts of superhuman realities are based on the experience of human personality with and in the cosmic realities of certain associated spiritual entities and divine personalities. Everything non-spiritual in human experience, excepting personality, is a means to an end. Every true relationship of mortal man with other persons, human or divine, is an end in itself. And such fellowship with the personality of deity is the eternal goal of universe ascension. Okay.
所有关于实相的凡人概念，都是基于人类人格的实际存在的假设。关于超人类实相的所有概念，都是基于人类人格与某些相关灵性实体和神性人格的宇宙实相之间和之内的经验。除人格之外的一切非属灵的人类经验，都是达到目的的手段。凡人与其他人，无论是人类还是神性的，他们之间的每一种真正关系本身的就是目的。而与神灵人格的这种伙伴关系是宇宙扬升的永恒目标。哇，
这段很棒哦。
太
This is
难了，我觉得。
fascinating paragraph, isn't it, Heidi? Heidi 又去搞他的狗去了。
Okay. All right, this one we should be able to figure out.
Yeah, it's a fascinating paragraph.
Yeah, it's really good. And it shouldn't be too hard to figure it out. Once you Okay, so the universe, all mortal concepts of reality are based, all mortal concepts of reality are based on the assumption of the actuality of human personality. So they're just saying that all more concept, all of reality is we're assuming that human beings have personalities. That's a given. All reality is based on that. If we never even, we can't even conceive of reality without human personality.
这个关于实相呢，它是基于我们每个人都有一个基本的人格的这个假设，没有人格的概念，谈不上什么实相的概念。
Like without personality, there's basically, we have no actual relationship to we would be in reality, but we wouldn't be able to like differentiate ourselves from, like, we absolutely need personality to even understand or exist in reality.
没有人格就没有关系，没有办法区分彼此，也没有办法，没有办法跟实相相连。
It's like personality is like the fundamental reality, the fundamental fact of reality. You know, God is a personality. Every single being that we will ever meet or hear about is a personality. It's like without that, we basically, nothing makes any sense.
没有人格的概念，没有就是说我们就是神的单单一个一个的那个个体的造物这个概念，其他的都没有意义。
You know, reality is simply an association of personalities. That's what reality is. It's things too, but
这个实相呢，实际上就是这些不同人格之间的一个联系，就表达的是这样一个联系的概念。所谓的实相就是表达人格之间的互相的联系。
I mean, you could have planets and space and all these physical things, but without personality, none of it has any meaning.
那你可以有星球啊，有空间呐，但是如果没有人格，那么这些都没有意义。
Okay, so then the second part of that sentence is, all concepts of superhuman realities are based on the experience of the human personality with and in the cosmic realities of certain associated spiritual entities and divine realities, and divine personalities. So what they're saying is, when they're saying all concepts of superhuman realities, they mean all mortal concepts. All of our concepts of superhuman reality are based on the experience of human personality, that's us, with and in cosmic realities of certain associated spiritual entities and divine personalities. So they're saying that all of our understanding of anything cosmic reality has to do with our relationship with other higher beings. That's what they're saying.
这第二句呢是关于超人类，我们凡人关于超人类实相的这个概念呢，是基于我们人类人格与这个相关灵性实体神性人格的宇宙实相之间和之内的经验，就是说我们关于超人类实相经验得跟超人类的存有去互动，然后才产生这样的概念。
And they say all concepts of superhuman realities are based on the experience of human personality, that's us, with and in the cosmic realities of certain associated spiritual entities and divine personalities. So that could be, you know, when the apostles spent time with Jesus, he's a divine personality. So they get to experience a certain cosmic reality by associating with a divine personality, or when even if we read about a divine personality like Jesus, or any kind of connection that we have to angels, or to any kind of divine or celestial, what do they call them? Certain associated spiritual entities and divine personalities. In other words, we can't relate to any cosmic reality except through cosmic personalities.
对，关于宇宙的实相呢，我们就比如他举的例子是那个耶稣的门徒哈，那些门徒他们跟耶稣这样一个神圣的人格相处，然后他们经历到一些的宇宙的实相，或者我们读关于耶稣的那个生平啊、教导啊，也是可以体验这个宇宙实相，或者我们跟天使啊、灵界的存有啊打交道啊，就可以聊，就是一瞥宇宙的实相。
In other words, if there are no higher beings, more celestial, more divine than we are, if there are no higher, more spiritual beings, then there would be no cosmic reality for us. There would be no spiritual reality. Without spiritual personalities, there is no spiritual reality. What would it be? What would it be? Just a bunch of planets that are spiritual? You have to have spiritual personalities for there to be a spiritual reality. It's an interesting idea.
Yeah. 对，如果没有更高维的存有，没有那些灵界的神圣的存有，那么我们就没有灵性的实相可言。对。
And that helps us to understand the value of personalities. Everything centers around personalities in reality, in our whole reality.
对，所有的事情都是就是以人格为中心来展开的，那没有人格就没有实相。
And then they say everything non-spiritual in human experience. This is a great sentence. Accepting personality is a means to an end. But every true relationship of mortal man with other persons, human or divine, is an end in itself. So what they're basically saying is that all meaning derives from relationships with personalities. Every relationship is eternal. Everything purely physical will go away, will be gone, will not survive.
对，他就是最后就是中间的那两句，除人格之外的一切非属灵的人类经验，都是达到目的的手段。凡人与其他人，无论是人类还是神性的，他们之间每一种真正关系本身就是目的，就是这个关系本身就赋予意义，并且所有的关系呢，都是永恒的。其他的物质的。不，跟非属灵的那一部分的物质的经验就是不会永存。
But they say everything non-spiritual in human experience, accepting personality, is a means to an end. So they're not just saying everything physical is a means to an end, like the table and the cars and the houses we're just using to get to a higher, we're using as tools right now to help us get to a higher spiritual experience. They're not just saying the physical, they're saying everything non-spiritual. So that means everything we think, everything we do, every relationship we have, every experience that's non-spiritual is a means to an end, is just helping us to get to a more spiritual place.
它不是说物质的东西，不存，就是没有，不能永存。比如说那车呀，桌子啊，这些是工具。它就是说所有的非灵性的，非灵性的东西，我们其他的非灵性的关系都是不能永存。
So they're saying everything non-spiritual in human experience, accepting personality. So that means that when you have a non-spiritual experience, the minute it involves another person or your personality, that part of it is eternal, has value, but everything else about it is just temporary, is just a finite reality that will not exist in eternity. But everything, every part of that experience that has to do with another personality, your personality or another personality, which is to say another person, has some kind of eternal value.
True what 与其他人的凡人与其他人的关系啊，每一种真正关系本身就是目的，因为那个是可以存到永久续存价。But here, Heidi, true relationship. So it's not all relationship, but only true relationship.
No, that's not what they say. They say that they say that everything non-spiritual human experience, accepting personality. They don't say accepting true relationship or spiritual relationship with personality. They're saying accepting personality. Every personality is itself a spiritual reality. So it does have a survival quality. It's not just a means to an end. Every personality is a spiritual reality, so it's not finite. It's not just a means to an end. It has the end within it. It has value and eternal meaning within it.
What I'm talking about is the next sentence.
Oh,
这句是人格之外的一切非属灵人类经验都是达到目的的手段。那跟人格有关的，好像都能够续存。但是我的问题是在下一句话，他说他们之间的每一种真正关系本身就是目的，因为我强调的是这个 true 这个真正关系。那怎么去 how do you define the true relationship？ 怎么样定义什么真正的关系？
every true relationship of mortal man with other persons, human mind, is an end in itself. Every true relationship of mortal man with, how do we define true, is an end in itself? Well, a true relationship is a relationship that has some kind of truth, that involves some kind of truth. Like if you just, if you just, get on a bus and you give the bus driver some money and go sit in your seat, that's not necessarily a true relationship.
It's something that touch your soul, that kind of help your soul grow.
Yeah,
Or you learn
yeah,
something meaningful.
yes.
他就说，我就提到什么是真正的关系，那么他就说啊，你买一张票，那个从售货员那儿买一个票，然后坐在那个，那这样的话就不能算是，这个是很肤浅的一种关系。我的延伸是，就是那种关系，人和人之间的人格之间的关系，就是说触及到灵魂了，或者让你学到了一些的东西啊，那些都算是有意义的关系。OK。
and such fellowship with the personality of deity is the eternal goal of universe ascension. And I think what they're saying there, that could mean two different things, but I think what they're saying is when you have the relationship you have with the personality of God is the eternal goal of universe ascension. That's the reason we are ascending through the universe, is to have that one-on-one relationship with the personality of God.
对，它最后一句是与神灵人格的这种伙伴关系宇宙扬升的永恒目标。While the personality of deity, how can we kind of replace the personality of deity with thought adjuster?
No,
No?
because they're talking about the eternal goal of universe ascension. So they're talking about God the Father in Havona, because that's why we're ascending through the universe, is to actually meet God. We merge with our thought adjuster. Our thought adjuster doesn't have personality. So when they talk about the personality of deity, they're not talking about our thought adjuster.
OK， 对，我这个地方问说这个 personality of deity 神灵人格是不是指的是思想调整者？那么他说不是的，思想调整是没有人格的。那么这个是 fellowship， 这在英文当中是一个伙伴关系，意味是伙伴关系。那么就是与神灵人格建立起这种伙伴关系，宇宙扬升的永恒目标，那就是我们找战队嘛，或者是你去找去认同你这个人格，你去找认同嘛，你去跟比较高的灵性的层次的那个人格去认同，那你跟他们站到一起了，那你不就是养生了吗？我是这样理解的。Yeah, okay, I got it.
Yeah, and you could say right, and here's another way of looking at it. You could say the universe is made up of beings, divine, mortal, and divine, and we all have these gifts of God, these personalities. Each one is a little piece of God, a little bit of God's personality, a different aspect of God's personality. And then as we evolve, as we go through, as we ascend through the universe, eventually we meet the source of every personality. We meet more and more and more. We interact with more and more personalities through billions of years. And then eventually we meet the source of all personality, the one being who is every single personality we ever met combined into one source of all personality.
那就是不管是跟凡人的灵性的，就是那些的人格去接触，相当于就是认识神的不同的面相。然后最终我们就是来到所有人格的源头啊，经过很长时间，我们去跟那个所有人格的源头，也就是神去面对面。
So we have to remember that every single personality, every single person, that personality is a gift of God. And we forget that, but no one can exist without a personality, and every personality is a direct gift of God. So therefore, every personality does have something godlike about it, even if we can't see that.
对，每一个单独的个人他都有人格，那么没有人格的不能够存在，所以因为人格是神赐予的，所以每个人身上都有像神的那些的素质，就是虽然有时候我们不大看得到，但是实相是这样的。
Okay, so the next paragraph, I'll read the next couple paragraphs. The possession of personality identifies man as a spiritual being, since the unity of selfhood and the self-consciousness of personality are endowments of the supermaterial world. That's really what I was just saying. The very fact that a mortal materialist can deny the existence of supermaterial realities in and of itself demonstrates the presence and indicates the working of spirit synthesis and cosmic consciousness in his human mind. I'll read
Okay.
I'll read the next. Yeah.
Okay.
There exists a great cosmic gulf between matter and thought. And this gulf is immeasurably greater between material mind and spiritual love. Consciousness, much less self-consciousness, cannot be explained by any theory of mechanistic electronic association or materialistic energy phenomena. Okay.
Okay. 拥有人格标志着人类是一个灵性的存有，因为自我性的统一和人格的自我意识是超物质世界所赋予的。一个凡人唯物主义者可以否认超物质实相的存在，这个事实本身就表明了灵性结合和宇宙意识在其人类心智中的存在和运作。物质和思想之间存在着巨大的宇宙鸿沟，而物质心智与灵性之爱之间的这个鸿沟更是大到不可估量。意识无法用任何机械电子关联理论或物质能量现象来解释，更不用说自我意识了。
对，再往下读，整理。
是吧？好的。当心智追寻实相的终极分析时，物质对物质感官来说消失了，但在心识中，它仍然可能是真实的。当灵性洞察力追寻物质消失后，仍继续存在的实相，直至终极分析时，物质在心智中消失。但灵性洞察力仍然可以感知到灵性本质的宇宙实相和至高灵性价值。因此，科学让位于哲学，而哲学必须臣服于真正灵性经验中所本有的结论。思维臣服于智慧，而智慧则隐没于开悟和反应式的境缝中。在科学中，人类自我观察着物质世界，哲学是观察对物质世界的这种观察，而宗教真正的灵性经验，则是在经验上实现了这样的宇宙实相，那就是观察对时空能量材料的一切相对合成的观察。基于纯粹唯物主义建立宇宙哲学，就是忽视这样一个事实，那就是物质的东西最初都被认为是人类意识的经验中的真实事物。观察者不能是被观察的事物，评价要求在某种程度上超越被评价的事物。
Heidi, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Did you read the
Okay.
next section?
Yeah, next two.
Oh, okay. So let's go over the possession of personality identifies man as a spiritual being, since the unity of selfhood and the self-consciousness of personality are endowments of the supermaterial world. So the very fact that a mortal materialist can deny the existence of okay. So what they're saying there is that it's so interesting. The possession of personality identifies man as a spiritual being, since the unity of selfhood and self-consciousness are endowments. So personality is a spiritual reality. There's nothing material or physical or finite about personality. It's a direct gift of God. It's eternal and it's a spiritual reality. So you can't think about life and your personality without using your personality to do it. So there, okay, you can translate that.
对，就是人格是一个灵性的实相，就是不是物质界啊有限的那个范畴能够解释的那个生命啊、人格呀这些的了解这些的概念，没有办法不用到人格。
So if you're a computer or a robot, you don't have a personality. You can have a kind of a brain but you can't. A robot's never going to wonder about God. A robot is never going to wonder about spiritual reality because they don't have a spiritual component. It's our spiritual personality that wonders about spiritual things.
对，他就说电脑啊或者机器人儿啊，它是没有人格的。虽然它有像脑一样的一个组织，它一个机器人儿它不会在那儿思考，神啊或者灵性的实相，因为它没有这个东西。就是你能够思考这些实相本身，其实就表明你是一个灵性的存有。
If you didn't have a spirit, you wouldn't be sitting around wondering about whether or not you have a spirit.
对，你如果没有灵性，你不会坐在那儿，在那儿想，哎，到底有没有灵性这回事？
So it's very funny that many people use their spiritual personality to deny the existence of spiritual reality.
对，他们这些否认，超物质实相的存在，这些人实际上他们就是在用他们的人格，他们运用他们的灵性的这个功能来进行这样的一种思维的运作。
Without a personality which is always synthesizing with a cosmic consciousness, our personality is directly connected to the cosmic consciousness, to a higher reality, to a spiritual reality. Without that, we can't operate, we can't function. We would just be a machine. Someone would have to come and turn us on and plug us in.
对，那个人格是跟那个宇宙的意识直接的相连的，所以我们不是那个机器人，只是有一定的功能，那个得需要人来就是把我们打开、关闭，这样来决定我们的存在和运作。
It is our free will that's a gift of God that enables us to say, to exist, to be, to think, to want to exist. We don't just exist like a computer that gets turned on. We want to exist. We want to live. We want to experience things. We want to go to the next level. All of that is a spiritual endowment that we've been given. The gift of life and the desire to live. We have the innate desire to live. The desire to stay alive is extremely powerful. Machines don't have that.
对，我们被赋予这个自由意志，使我们能够去存在、去思考、去想要存在、想要生活、想要体验、想要达到下一个水平。我们这都是这些灵性的赋予啊， 一个机器人儿它不会他自己就是想要这个动力，想要活呀，或者这些概念。
So it's funny, you meet these people and they say they don't believe in God because they can't measure it, they can't weigh it, they can't take a photograph of it, they can't put it on a scale, they can't, and yet they're doing all that with a mind that they also, and a will and a desire, all these things they're using to think about these things can't be weighed or measured or put on a scale either. The brain is a mechanical reality, but obviously when we talk and when we think and when we feel, we're using more than just the brain apparatus.
对，那个经常会遇到一些人呢，他认为他说神没有办法测量啊、称重啊、照相啊，这个称重量，这个不，所以那个不能不信神，所以他们不信神。可是就是很可笑的是，他们正在用他们的头脑来进行这种判断啊，然后来表达这种渴望啊。那个头脑就是大脑，物质的大脑是一个机械性的实相，但是呢，我们进行那些的那个想和做的那些的功能，就是实际上远超过大脑的功能的。
People who don't believe in God, they always believe in love. You never hear them saying there is no such thing as love. Love does not exist because I can't take a photograph of it, I can't weigh it, I can't measure it. Therefore there is no such thing. They all agree that love exists. They feel it. They know it exists because they feel it. So but they deny the existence of God because they can't measure it and weigh it, but they admit that they love something even though they can't measure and weigh that feeling.
他们不信神，但是呢，基本上没有人能够否认爱的存在。那爱本身它也是没办法测量啊、称重的，但是呢，他们能够感觉到它，所以他们不否认爱的存在。但是他们基于同样的道理，他们不承认神的存在，那么这也是好像就是不合理的。
Thousands and thousands of people are having near-death experiences now.
就是成千上万的人有这个濒死体验。
And they always have. It's nothing new. There's records of near-death experiences going way back.
对，实际上从古到今都有这个濒死体验的记录。
All these people, they die. Their brain is dead, but they're still thinking. They're still feeling. Every one of them says, "I was still me. They didn't become another person. They were still themselves."
那些人就是他们虽然肉体不能，没有功能了，但是他们仍然能够思想，能够感知，所以他们说，哎，那仍然是我。
For me, this is proof enough that our minds can operate even without our brains. We can still think and feel and experience even when our brains are dead.
对，这个就是一个证明，就是意识可以独立于这大脑而存在，我们可以脱离大脑，仍然有这个思考啊、感知的功能。
And everyone who believes in life after death believes this also.
那些相信死后生命的那些人也相信这一点的。
But for people who don't believe in life after death, there are thousands and thousands of people who have died and have come back.
对，有那些不信死后生命的人，他们也有死了又回来的经历。
And every one of them says that they were still themselves they still could think and they still could feel. So in other words, they still had the same personality.
对，就是从另外一个角度来讲，这些濒死体验的死去又回来的人，他们就是同一个人格的。
And I experienced death myself and came back. And when I died, I went to this other place, but not for long, just for a few minutes. But I was definitely still me, and I could still think and feel, and I was still me. I just didn't have a body anymore.
我也经历过这个濒死体验，在另外一个境界当中，也是能够思考、能够感知，只是没有身体的参与。
But the Urantia book tells us that when we really, die, they'll give us we'll get a new body, so we don't have to worry. We'll get a new body.
下一期生命，我们就是会给一个新的身体，这个不要担心。
We don't have to float. We don't have to float around in space forever.
我们不用在空间里飞来飞去，永远的在那儿飞。
Although it was very pleasant, I did enjoy my little floating experience.
虽然我是很享受我的漂浮在空中的体验。Yeah,
Very comfortable.
out of body experience.
Yes, it was very
出体
comfortable.
对，出体的体验。
Like most people who experience a death, I didn't want to come back. Most people don't want to come back.
这些濒死体验的人，大部分他们经历了之后都不想再回来。
Okay, so now reading on. As mind pursues reality to the ultimate analysis, matter vanishes to the material senses. I think you already read this, so
Yeah,
I'm just
right.
I'm just catching up. As mind pursues reality to the ultimate analysis, matter vanishes to the material senses, but may still remain real to the mind. When spiritual insight pursues that reality which remains after the disappearance of matter and pursues it to the ultimate analysis, it vanishes to mind. But the insight of spirit can still perceive cosmic realities and supreme values of a spiritual nature. Accordingly, does science give way to philosophy, while philosophy must surrender to the conclusions inherent in genuine spiritual experience. Thinking surrenders to wisdom, and wisdom is lost in enlightened and reflective worship. I suppose, yeah, we should stop. I should go over that paragraph. As mind pursues reality to its ultimate analysis, matter vanishes to material sense, but may so remain real to the mind. They're just talking about evolving, and after we, at some point, we evolve past the material when we become spiritual beings. So they're saying we're still pursuing reality. We're moving forward in reality. So at some point, matter vanishes to the material senses. So at some point, we don't even see physical matter anymore, but they're saying, but still remain real to the mind. So they're saying when that happens, we still see it in our mind, but we can't feel it with our material senses. Because they say that once you're mortal, you can always see material reality. So what they're telling us here is that even though you can see it, you can't really touch it or feel it with your material senses once you evolve into the spiritual realm. I think that's what they're saying.
对，我们是凡人的时候接触物质的实相，但是就是这个心智呢是可以它的运作可以独立于，就是说那个我们肉身接触物质实相的这个之外，就说这个不接触，我们这个头脑也能运作，心智也能够运作，在现实当中嘛，仍然是真实的。
And then they're saying when spiritual insight pursues that reality which remains after the disappearance of matter and pursues the ultimate analysis, it vanishes to mind, but the insight of spirit can still perceive cosmic reality, supreme values. So then they're saying at some point, you can't even see it with your mind, but at that point, you still perceive cosmic realities and supreme values. Only you can, at that point, you can only see with your mind things that have a spiritual nature. Now this, I find this confusing because in another place it said that as if you were immortal, you can always experience the physical. You can always see it no matter how spiritual you get. So I don't know, this is saying something different. So I'm a little confused that they're saying this because I also read that they said something different. But I'm just telling you what they're saying here.
然后再继续呢，就是刚才第一句说的是心智和物质的关系，就是物质没有继续刺激那个感官，但是在现实当中可能是真实的。然后再往下一句是说这个灵性洞察力更高于这个心识，那个物质在心智当中有可能消失了，但是灵性洞察力还会继续追寻这个消失之后仍旧存在的实相，进行终极分析。
But it does say that even when it vanishes to the mind, when the physical vanishes to the mind, it says, but the insight of spirit can still perceive cosmic realities and supreme values of a spiritual nature. So even if you couldn't see physical reality, you would still be able to see physical people. You'd be their spirit because people have personalities which have a spiritual nature and they have thought adjusters. So it's saying that you'd still be able to see anything with a spiritual component.
对，就是用我们灵性的部分，灵性的那个功能仍然可以有这个洞察力，不依赖于物质的存在，也不依赖于心智当中物质的存在。
And then they're just saying as you evolve from a physical being to a morantial being to a spiritual being, at the same time that you're no longer seeing physical things, it's your science gives way to philosophy, while philosophy must surrender to the conclusions inherent in genuine spiritual experience. So they're saying that science is really a finite material reality that eventually you don't need science anymore, because science is really trying to understand the physical world. So you replace science with philosophy, which understands a world that's beyond the physical. And then the next phase after that is while philosophy must surrender to the conclusions inherent in genuine spiritual experience.
那是一步一步的嘛。科学针对是研究的是物质世界啊，物质实相啊，然后它进一步再升级呢，就是升到更抽象的哲学的层次哈。然后呢，在哲学再往上呢，就是一个臣服于真正灵性经验中所本有的结论，就是相当于思维臣服于智慧。
So they're saying that science become eventually is replaced with philosophy, which is science is the understanding of physical things. Philosophy is the understanding of meanings and thoughts and ideas. But then they're saying eventually, okay, I'll let you say that.
对，那个就是哲学是更深的，就是更普遍层次的那种意义啊，思想啊，对，它是更具有普遍意义的。但是呢，哲学还要再进一步再往上那个升，这是人类认识的一个提高的过程。
So when we're dealing with science and the material things, we're thinking, we're using our brains and we're thinking. We at some point we no longer think. They say thinking surrenders to wisdom. So with wisdom, we're not actually thinking. They don't have a word for what we're doing, but it has to do with wisdom. So we're wisdomizing. It's beyond thinking. So thinking gives way to wisdom. In other words, we can't be really wise from thinking. The next level, and I think it's Urantia Mota, where we're achieving real wisdom. But then they're saying that's just a phase 2. Eventually, when we're completely spiritual beings, wisdom is replaced by enlightened and reflective worship. So it's not just worship, it's enlightened and reflective worship.
对，我们在物质界呢，似乎是在用大脑来思考那个，智慧呢，它不用思考的，智慧是不思考的，就是当我们到灵智界用的是智性的，心识，那么那个时候我们就获得真正的智慧，就是灵性的智慧，而这个智慧那个最后一句是隐没于开悟和反应式的静态。
So
是这种敬拜是一种开悟式的敬拜，不是一般的敬拜。
So we think of worship as just sitting around, like praying, or some kind of deep prayer, or surrendering our will and our ego to God, appreciating the glory and majesty of God. But they're saying worship is much more than that. They're saying there's an enlightened and reflective worship, which is more than what we think of as worship. It actually replaces thinking, and then it replaces this philosophizing, right? It's a kind. They're saying that when we become spiritual beings, worship is how we think. We think. We get our ideas and understanding from worship.
它就是这个崇拜呢，不是说啊，你坐在那儿就是，祷告啊，很深的那种祷告啊，就是，把自己的意志交托给服从神的意志啊，或者是敬赞、敬颂这个神的这个伟大呀，而是那种叫开悟的反应式的敬奉，就是，它是来就是代替思考，代替哲学思维，然后呢，相当于敬拜就成为我们思考的模式，敬拜就是我们，对，大概就是一步一步的这样替代。
And this enlightened and reflective worship, I think, is connected to insight. I think.
对， 这种的就是开悟和反应式的敬奉敬拜，实际上跟这个洞见是有关联的。
So it would be like, here we think, in the next world we realize, we understand, and then finally we have insight. We worship, we know. I think when we worship and we have reflective and enlightened worship, I think it allows us to just know things. I mean, we're knowing new things all the time. We're still evolving our minds. We're growing, but it's no longer, we no longer have to think to get new insight. We just know. We worship and we know more and more and more. I think that's what happens.
在这个世界呢，我们需要思考；下个世界呢，我们就体悟，我们就完全的理解。然后呢，在下一个阶段呢，我们就是得到洞见，在这种的开悟反应式的敬拜中得到洞见。那么我们的意识是一直在进展，只是我们不用通过思考来获得洞见。
I mean, the ultimate experience is when we meet God face to face, we will be overwhelmed with a feeling of worship, but you can imagine how much more we'll know. People with near-death experiences often say that they're given incredible amounts of information. They can't remember it all when they come back. They remember some of it, but all their questions are answered. They just know. They're given incredible knowledge. And while they're doing it, they're in a state of worship.
对，那些濒死体验的人，他们的经验就是，在那种的境界当中呢，他们就是有一种的敬拜感，然后得到非常多的信息，他们所有的问题都得到解答，他们在这种敬拜当中获得了真知。
It's like knowledge and understanding are being imparted to us or being shared with us, spirit to spirit. We're no longer using our minds to know things. Our spirit is just connecting to a wiser, more understanding spirit and sharing this kind of understanding.
对，在那种状态下，相当于这个知识和洞察这个理解啊，就是分赐给我们，就分享给我们，从灵性到灵性这样的一种分赐和分享，而不是通过头脑来获得的，就是更有这个理解力的灵魂，就是直接的沟通得到的。
But we don't. But I don't think we ever know everything God knows. We're always evolving, even when we're high spiritual beings. So there's always like a capacity that's being filled. We're always being filled up to our capacity.
我们是一个进化的存有，总是就是分赐给我们，按照我们个人的量、个人的度量、个人的能力来分赐给我们相应的这种知识。
Like when people have near-death experiences, they always say all their questions are answered, but they don't say necessarily that they're receiving all the knowledge in the universe. They're saying all their questions are answered. So they're being given what they're ready to receive. What they want to know.
对，在濒死体验当中，就是说，他们说我所有的问题都得到了解答，但是他们没有说啊，我一下子获得了关于宇宙的所有的知识，所以实际上是按每一个量赐给你该知道的东西。
It's like when we're a child, we can have incredible insight. We can have thoughts and feelings that are way beyond our years as a 4-year-old or an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old. Really deep insights and deep understanding, but we can't know everything we know now, because we have a capacity. We have to process information to be able to receive more information.
在孩童时代，有可能我们有一种特别惊人的洞见，然后这是我们年龄所不般配的。后边一句我没有 catch 到。
But we can tune in. Even as children, we can tune in to our spirit and to the cosmic mind and have very deep insights.
对，就是我们在孩子的时候，我们都可以就是调频到这个宇宙的心智，然后得到一个非凡的洞见。
Sometimes we just don't have the language to express it.
有的时候于这个语言的局限，我们有可能很难用语言来表达出来。
Okay, let me go to the next paragraph.
I think we can maybe just finish one or two paragraphs and then call it a day.
Sure.
Okay.
Sorry I was late today. My alarm clock, the battery ran out. So it didn't ring.
That's
Oh,
okay. We have very valuable discussion and
yeah, I was so
reflection.
happy to hear you just talking away.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
couldn't even join in. I just had to wait because you were having such a passionate discussion. So I was very happy.
Next time you can, kind of cut in any time, because we may want to get your insight as well. So you don't need to wait until our discussion over, because we are basically waiting for you
Okay,
for you to
okay.
join us for our discussion. That
Okay.
will be more
Yeah, I
fascinating.
wasn't sure if you seemed so into it. I just,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
next
okay.
time.
That's okay. That's okay. We're not rush up on anything.
Yeah, and also I thought that you'd be able to see I was there, but when you're talking, you're not always looking to see who joined.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
So, okay, so let me read one more paragraph. You can tell them I'm just going to read one more paragraph, because there's only a couple people here.
对，我们可能在一两段就结束今天的学习。对，Okay, let's go over the 12.
I think we're the paragraph this is the one we're reading, right? In science, the human self, right? Yeah. Observes the material world. Philosophy, yeah, that's where we are.
Yeah.
In science, the human self observes the material world. Philosophy is the observation of this observation of the material world. Religion, true spiritual experience, is the experiential realization of the cosmic reality of the observation of all this relative synthesis of the energy materials of time and space. To build a philosophy of the universe on an exclusive materialism is to ignore the fact that all things material are initially conceived as real in the experience of human consciousness. The observer cannot be the thing observed. Evaluation demands some degree of transcendence of the thing which is evaluated. Oh, and you already read this, right?
Shanley already read that.
Yeah. So this is
this
very
is very heavy. So after this paragraph, we can call it a day, I think.
Yeah, it's but we pretty much talked about this already. I pretty much talked about this already. It's basically saying the very fact that you're observing yourself means that you're more than yourself. A computer doesn't analyze it. It doesn't say, well, I'm just a computer. I'd rather be a human being. It's not, it can only be a computer. We can think about what we are. That proves that we're more than our physical self. The very fact that we can think about if we can think about whether or not we're more than our physical self, that means we're more than our physical self.
对，它就是我们人类哈，可以观察物质世界，所以呢是有一些的，但是呢，这个电脑呢，它不能说，诶，它发现自己是电脑啊，我不想做电脑，可以做别的，所以呢，这就证明就是我们可以观察评价我们的，回观自身，就是说明我们有高于这个物质自我的这个层次。
The last sentence says, the observer cannot be the thing observed. Evaluation demands some degree of transcendence of the thing which is evaluated. So they're saying when you're looking at something, you're not the thing you're looking at. You have to be something else to look at something. You can't look at yourself the way someone else can look at you.
对，跟刚才的也是一个意思，就是我们观察和观察者和被观察之物。那么假设就是观察者他在程度上是超越被观察物的，被评价物的。
So this whole thing about wondering about if there's more to life than just material, the part of us that is wondering is not material.
对，就所以生命不光是物质的部分，对，有超越物质的那一部分，生命的组成有超越物质的部分。
So like a computer might examine its programming, it might find problems, but it can't say, well, why do I exist? Why am I important? How do I relate to all the other computers in the world? What's my significance? The computer can't do that because it's only itself. It can only operate within its own programming.
对，那电脑它不能评价自己的编程，说，哎，为什么我存在啊？或者，哎，我怎么样去跟别的电脑相连？就是它的显著性，它的意义就只在于我们给它设定成什么样的就是什么样，它就没有那些的高级的那个意识体，所具有的那些的功能啊，那些的反思。
So the first sentence, it says, in science, the human self-observed the material world. Okay, so that's what science is. Science is an examination of material things, okay?
这个第一句就是科学嘛，科学就是那种观察所谓客观物质世界。
So then they say philosophy is the observation of this observation of the material world. So basically science is trying to understand the material world. Philosophy is trying to understand our understanding of the material world.
对，哲学呢是对我们这种科学的理解，物质世界的一种理解。
So you could say science, we're thinking about things, but philosophy, we're thinking about our thinking.
对，就相当于这个科学呢是思考，然后我们的世界，然后呢哲学呢是思考我们的思考。
So with science, we might say, listen, this apple, every time I drop an apple, it falls to the ground. So there must be something called gravity.
科学有可能说，哎， 听着，我每次就是扔苹果，它都落到地上，这有可能有一种叫引力的东西存在。
Now, philosophy will say, why do I care about gravity? Why is gravity important? Why am I even thinking about gravity? Should I be thinking about something else? Am I right? Is my conclusion about gravity correct? This is philosophy.
对，哲学呢，就是说，哎，为什么我会想到引力？这个引力真的那么重要吗？为什么我得到这样的结论？我的结论正不正确？没有别的什么解释。
Is gravity more important than love? Does gravity have any relationship to love? Is there such a thing as a God? Does God control gravity? These are all philosophical questions.
就是引力，引力跟爱是什么关系？引力，难道比爱更重要吗？对，然后是不是背后有什么力量来控制这个引力？
Science is just trying to figure out the physical world, why things happen the way they do, and what they're made of.
对，这个科学呢是试图想要解析这个世界是怎么运作的，世界是由什么组成的。
That's why it's very hard. Many scientists decide that there must be a God, but it's very hard for scientists to think about God because it really goes beyond the physical world, and their concern is with the physical world.
对，这科学就是因为跟这个世界为对象，他们虽然很多的科学家都最后信神了，但是科学本身它很难跟神有什么瓜葛，因为它的确这个神的这个东西是，在他们这个观察物质世界这个领域之外的。
So then they say religion, true spiritual religion, true spiritual experience is the experiential realization of the cosmic reality of the observation of all this relative synthesis of energy materials of time and space. So let's take that apart. So it's the experiential realization of the cosmic reality. So they're saying, okay, so now we figured out that there's gravity. Now we're thinking about how important that gravity is, why we're thinking about it, should we be thinking about it, how it relates to other things. That's philosophy. And now they're saying, but how does this relate to the rest of the universe, to reality, to who I am, to what I am, to God? What's the meaning of it all? This is religion. Goes beyond philosophy.
对，那么继续下一句是关于宗教，宗教的那个很复杂的那一句哈，真正的灵性体验，则是在经验上实现了这样的宇宙实相，就是观察对时空能量材料的一切相对合成的观察。这不光是观察，就是说它比如说这个这个万有引力，那么它跟宇宙的其他的部分是什么样的关系？那我是谁？神是什么概念？什么意义？就是它更超越这个哲学的范畴，更往这个形而上的领域去了。
So no matter what we understand about the physical world, and no matter what we think about our thinking and our relationships and our motives, then at some point there's a cosmic reality, a deeper understanding, a religious reality that puts everything in context. And that's the religion, that's the spiritual experience. It transcends even our philosophy, because our philosophy might be wrong too. But religious experience, true religious experience isn't wrong. It can be misguided sometimes, but true religious experience you're starting to tune into a cosmic reality that's way beyond all philosophizing and all science.
真正的这个宗教的体验，它更关心的是更那个的，更超越的这个实相，超越物质，超越哲学的层次。当然，有一些的宗教它是被误导的，但是真正的宗教对它就是在关注这个，关心更实质的本质的这个实相方面，它是有这方面的。
And then it says, to build a philosophy of the universe on an exclusive materialism is to ignore the fact that all things material are initially conceived as real in the experience of human consciousness. So in order for things to have any value or importance at all, we have to think that they're real. We have to believe that they're real. So how we think and feel about things is what gives them their significance and importance. And how we think and feel about things, that's not a physical reality. So it's crazy when we try to make everything purely physical, because it's our relationship, our thinking about them, that makes them what they are.
对，关于这个价值啊，显著意义，就是我们怎么样想，怎么样感觉它赋予事物价值和显著意义，就是我们对它的跟它的关系，定义我们跟它的一种关系。
So I can sit in my chair and I can lean on my desk and I can say those two things are real, but I wouldn't have a desk. I wouldn't have a chair if I hadn't been able to think of them before, to invent them, to design them, to see them in my mind as real. So they existed in my mind before they even existed in reality. So then I say, well, nothing's real except a chair that I can sit in and a desk I can lean on. But they weren't real. They were only existed in my mind before they became real. So yeah, go ahead.
对，你看我现在就是坐在椅子上，倚在我的桌子上，但是呢，我都是要事先想到他们，发明他们，然后他们才就是那个存在到我的实相当中啊，在这之前呢，他们并不是真的。
So even the material things that we create, they exist in our minds before we create them, and we have to believe in them in order for them to have any meaning for us. That we're always operating on a level that's beyond the physical.
对，因为就是即使是物质的东西，我们就是发明它之前，先要相信它们的存在，赋予它们意义，然后对，才把它们创造出来，在现实当中运作。
And we think we live in a material world, and we put so much emphasis on material things, but the material is just a small part of the world we live in.
我们现在那么专注物质的世界，强调它的重要性，但是物质世界只是我们生活的那个世界的实相的很小的一部分。
So then they don't say this here, but I'll just wrap this up with the scientist is thinking about the scientist, their body, the person. And then the philosopher is thinking about how the scientist thinks and what they believe and how they operate. And then the religionist, the spiritual being, is thinking of, they don't care about the body. They don't care about how he thinks. they care about the soul, the spirit of the scientist.
对，那科学呢，关注人呢，关注这个身体啊，然后呢，哲学呢是，关注科学家是怎么样思考的，相信什么呀，怎么样运作啊。然后宗教层面呢是根本就不关心什么身体，他只关心灵魂。
So I could say, when I look at you as a scientist with my physical brain, I'm thinking about your blood and your bones and your weight and the color of your hair, the color of your eyes. I'm thinking of you as a physical being. When I look at you philosophically, I'm thinking about your personality and how you think and how you act and how you operate and our relationship and what you do. When I look at you with my spiritual eyes, I'm looking at your soul and your spirit.
对，如果用科学家的就是来看你的话，会关心你的体型啊、血液啊、骨骼呀、那个头发的颜色呀。哲学家呢，我会关注你怎么样思考，你怎么样的运作呀，你的行动什么样子，你相信什么？然后宗教层面呢，我会关心你的灵魂、你的灵性。
So we can end there. We didn't do the whole section, but we had a shorter section today. We had a shorter session today.
对，我们这一节就没有弄完，对，还有几节，212、13、14。
And then we'll finish up section 2 next week.
我们下一次再把这个第二部分弄完。Yeah, we have like 8 or 9 paragraphs to go next time.
No,
For the section 2.
no, we only have 1, 2, 3. Oh, well, they're little. They're very well. Some are just a couple sentences. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really like three big ones, three or 4 regular size. Yeah.
Yeah, start from 2.13 next
Yeah,
time.
in
We'll have
time.
seven more.
Yeah, we'll finish it next week, and
Yes.
then we get to the phenomenon of death, and
第三部分是死的现象。
and adjusters after death. So that's going to be real interesting. The next sections.
死后再下一个是关于死后调整者的去向，对，应该都是很有意思的主题。
This is a tough paper to get through, but we'll do it.
Tough, yeah, it is tough.
I guess you can turn off the recording now.